Yeah, I think one or two others are missing. So anyway, let's start. Time is precious. So tonight, Andrea's coming, waiting.
Sorry.
Sorry. Hello, Andrea.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So again, welcome to all of you, and nice to meet again on such wonderful topics. I think volume is okay. Tonight we will continue with two other topics as sent in by some of you. And I will tell a bit more about tonight's program. At first, let's start with some meditation. And it's always very nice to begin with a reflection on your motivation, why you are sitting here or there. And of course, for Buddhists, the motivation is aimed at to attain happiness and to find a stable and peaceful path in our lives, and also for the benefit of others at the same time. So this is the Mahayana motivation. But maybe you have other motivations, so please reflect on this for a moment. And then if you are a Buddhist on the path, meaning a Buddhist means having taken the vow of refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, and in the Sangha, the Bodhisattvas. Or if you're a tantric practitioner, you also have taken the vow of refuge in the Guru. And if you are, let's say, not an official Buddhist, not having taken the vows of refuge, but feeling like that, then this, of course, is also okay. The path to enlightenment is not aimed for Buddhists alone, it's meant for everybody, no one excluded. So no problem. And then when using your fantasy, imagine the room you're sitting in is not an ordinary room, but can be an expression of the pure Buddha realm. So beautiful and warm and soft and kind atmosphere with beautiful clothing and flowers and furniture, a wonderful array of light in it, spreading to every corner. And the atmosphere is of a holy space and holy place to sit in. Without any representation of our daily world and daily life. It's beyond that. And since has become a very beautiful, holy, wonderful place, and since you have taken a refuge or a proper motivation, now the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, they will come. As soon as we invite them as refuge, they have a proper surrounding, then they will come. So you can invite them to accompany you, to be present. And since all beings have the Buddha nature, meaning the original pure state of mind always present, full of wisdom and compassion, you also can imagine yourself in the Buddha posture, as comfortable as possible for yourself. So now you're leaving, so to say, your ordinary appearance, body, and feel it and imagine it as a Buddha or your favorite Yidam, your favorite Bodhisattva. So now you change into another dimension of your being, the enlightened dimension, the Mahamudra. And be aware of your body, your attitude of mind, and the movement of the breath. No need to be perfect, just to be aware and realize who you are. And then turn inside to the inner meditation posture, which is the stable sitting, is the undisturbability of the Buddha nature, the qualities of the Buddha inside, Mahamudra, and undisturbability. Your hands resting on each other is the non-duality, no discrimination, no opposites, and so on. Your upper body straight is the clarity and the unobscured quality of the mind. And your face has the expression of kindness, smiling out of compassion and love. Eyes may be half open, but gazing is seeing the world but not entering the world around us. And whatever comes up from the present, your daily life, thought or emotions, try to meet it without judgment or comment. Without judgment or comment, just leave it. Let it be and return to the inner outer posture. So here you change your identity. All the fears and all the sorrows, whatever is haunting us, don't belong to this purity of the inner Buddha. Then contemplate on the clarity aspect of the mind, which is also the Mahamudra. Look directly beyond the forms. Look directly beyond the thoughts, the emotions. Beyond them is the clarity. Which is the wisdom of knowing and understanding. That all these visualizations and meditation and wisdom, the clarity, is in the experience of the state of radiance, the boundless, radiant clarity of the mind, the emptiness and wisdom, clarity and radiance. pervades your body posture, your inner meditation posture, pervades the holy space you are in around you, and pervades the whole world, all beings in all directions. Compassion and kindness. Okay, thank you. No need to finish the meditation because this is the most beautiful inner state of mind, which is always there. Only thing is to remember again and again. So this is also an example of a meditation with the aspect of Mahamudra, where Maha means sublime, the sublime state of mind, and Mudra means it is everywhere, all the time. This is the treasure of Mahamudra. It's sublime, and everywhere, all the time. Okay. So for tonight, we continue with the topic of mindfulness. There's a request from one of you. And then we continue with why for the paramis, the paramitas, the wisdom parami, the wisdom paramita must be the basis. And then past the last two meetings, we will continue with the merit and fearlessness, and reconciliation. But it is nice to start with the matter of these topics in Mahamudra. The Mahamudra encompasses all the topics you have sent in. Then a little bit more practical is the mindfulness and the paramis, and then we can aim or focus these views on fearlessness and merit and karma and reconciliation. So it's from very abstract to specific, from the second dimension to the worldly dimension, something like that. So it's okay. So about the mindfulness, the question was from one of you, is there a difference, or what is the difference between the mindfulness in the West and the mindfulness from the Buddhist point of view? And this is a great difference. So I will try my best to share some thoughts with you about these. So let's, I was thinking that it would be helpful to speak about two kinds of mindfulness. And the one is, there is a relative mindfulness, and there is an absolute mindfulness. And the relative mindfulness means it is mainly based on concentration. As we have concentration, meditation, and as we have the popular mindfulness in the West, mainly in the West. And as far as I can observe, then the popular mindfulness in the West is mainly focused on concentration, meaning concentration on the body. What is my body feeling and doing and moving? On the feelings, what are the feelings that I experience right now? And positive and negative and neutral. What is, and the concentration on the mind, let's say on the mental activities. Mental activities is not only thinking, but is also judging and discriminating and aversion is more about feeling, is analyzing, is concluding, is discriminating between what and how and whom we see. So that is the duality of the mind. And the mindfulness of the feelings is there are positive feelings, there are negative feelings, and there are neutral feelings. I've always doubted if neutral feelings are really a realistic neutral feelings. But I was thinking about that and consulting some text about that. I think positive feeling is, of course, the result of positive actions, positive karma. And that's what we can experience. Negative feelings we also can experience because of negative karma or negative actions. And it might be the case that neutral feelings do not have any trigger at all. There is no karmic triggering in my mind or in my feelings, in neutral feelings. They are not active, they have no consequence, and they do not influence our feelings, because there is no karmic action before going. That might be a philosophy on neutral feelings. Nothing has happened and nothing is happening. Something like that. While with positive and negative feelings, something has happened, and then we experience them as such, positive or negative. It's also a happening. And in neutral feeling, nothing is happening because nothing went on beforehand. But okay, this is from just my idea, with my own questions about it. So relative mindfulness means that I'm concentrated on feelings, mental patterns, mental reactions, and the body. So it is a very momentary awareness of what I'm doing or what I'm experiencing or what I'm acting at the moment, and to be mindful of that. And it's my impression that the Western interpretation of mindfulness is based on unsatisfactoriness in daily life. For instance, feeling stress or being overwhelmed by all kinds of situations or happenings in the world around us, nearby and far away, that we are overwhelmed by our inner reactions and feelings, like feelings and mental patterns, and that we are not in control of them, that they are worrying us or are overwhelming us, or that they are causing restlessness or causing anger or resistance or causing a schism with the beings around me. So let's say that the relative mindfulness is seen as maybe a solution or an antidote to confusion in daily life. And then the philosophy is, as far as I've noticed in this Western idea, is that that we are not concentrated, but that we are constantly following what is happening, and I'm constantly, automatically, impulsively bringing forth emotions and all kinds of thinking, like I just explained. So it's the feeling of not being in control of what is happening in my daily life, and to suffer on that. Of course, it can be something like burnout, but sleeplessness, or irritation, or worrying, or fear, or aggression, or loneliness, or feeling down, feeling isolated, feeling not heard, feeling not being understood, or not understanding myself, or difficulty in understanding others, and not feeling very patient to them, not being able to communicate relaxed or on a certain level, not being having difficulty in being open to oneself or to others, or feeling tired many moments of the day, or not, and so on. So these kinds, I think, they are not very unfamiliar to us, I guess. We all suffer more or less from that now and then. But when it's really becoming a problem, then I feel that the relative mindfulness was seen as an antidote. Means as long as I'm overwhelmed by feelings and emotions and mental reactions in all kinds of situations, it means that there is a very low level of concentration. And that's why it takes us away in the stream or the waterfall of our daily life, and not being in control. This is And that's why the mindfulness was, I guess, taken from the Buddhist or the Asian practices. So when you focus, when you concentrate on what you're doing, what you're saying, your mind is exploring to you, what your feelings are, when you concentrate on them and leave them and not following them, then through this concentration on body, speech, and mind and heart, this concentration might help us to be in control in overwhelming situations in our daily life. So this is my idea about the popularity or the necessity or the grasping to some kind of inner peace in a restless world around us and in ourselves. Is that something you recognize? Does it make sense? Okay. So, of course, this is very good because it is a Buddhist or a spiritual method to find some inner peace and calmness with all the benefits of that. So that's good. But I also have the impression that nowadays that the popularity of mindfulness is fading away, or let's say it's no longer a very strong trend or fashioned method where lots of people had good money on it, of course with good intentions, I guess. But I feel now, and sometimes I also notice some reactions from the outside world that people say, well, it is a very good method, this relative mindfulness. They call it different, of course, to concentrate. And I've reasonably succeeded in concentrating to increase my concentration. But now, how to continue? And this is where the Western relative mindfulness is solely based on concentration, where it loses its power. Because just concentration helps us to feel, to develop a certain calm, certain state of samatha, calm abiding. But our confused and our hectic world outside and inside of us is so enormous that only concentration cannot save us. cannot bring permanent inner peace and harmony. So that is the limitation of the relative mindfulness. It's solely based on concentration, and it is a momentarily awareness of feeling and activities, and that brings us time by time some inner peace and calm, and maybe some, of course, some idea of being in control. So for that, I think there is certain technique taken from Buddhism, but it is not based on philosophy of the mind, and it is not based on the philosophy of liberation, of samsara. It is not based on the wisdom of emptiness, on emptiness on dependent origination and the 12 factors of dependent origin, of coming into being. There's not a real explanation. It's not based on emptiness. And it is also not based on the all-pervasive love and compassion and kindness. So it is the relative mindfulness is taken is used or or taken away from its roots. And these are the roots in the all-pervasive mindfulness. And all-pervasive mindfulness means that it is based on dependent origination, on what is emptiness, what is suchness. It is aimed on the 12 factors of the causes of origination. And it is not based on the quality of the Buddha nature, or the Mahamudra, or whatever you, or Sunyata, or whatever you call it. And these three that I mentioned, these are the basis what we can call as the all-pervasive mindfulness. The all-pervasive mindfulness related to what I've just mentioned. So the all-pervasive mindfulness is arising from the Buddha nature, or arising from Mahamudra, or arising from Sunyata. In any way, the all-pervasive mindfulness is present in the natural state inside of us. For Mahamudra and Sunyata and the Buddha nature, their natural state is a spontaneous, all-pervasive mindfulness, being aware of the emptiness and the all-encompassing compassion and the dependent origination and so on. And also in that, like the meditation, we have the clarity and we have the radiance. The clarity is the state of wisdom. That means understanding how all phenomena arise and disappear. That is the clarity aspect and the wisdom aspect. And there is the radiant aspect of emptiness. That means that the mind is space itself. So this is the inseparability of emptiness, the radiance of the empty state of the mind, which is called radiant, and the wisdom, the clarity state of mind. And these two are inseparable. And this is our natural state, our Buddha nature, which is always there and which is primordial. And so their quality can only be, let's say, all-pervasive emptiness. That means, all-pervasive mindfulness. Like I've tried to explain to you last week, that Mahamudra is what we, in essence, are, and is some. This is let's say samsara is what we not what we are. In samsara, we are relative. We have all our emotions and all our feelings and all our mental states, and they're constantly changing. And we cannot find an identity. Of course, we think it is the ego, the I, but also the ego and the I is dependent origination. Depends on so many causes and conditions. So we will not find, and everything that is built up by causes and conditions, we cannot find. We will not find the ego, the I. Our feelings and mental formations constantly change. Our body constantly changes. The world around us constantly changes. So this is, and reacting on that is also a constant change, constant repetition. So in samsara, it is impossible to be mindful all the time. We cannot fix it. And that's why the relative mindfulness, as just explained, is actually impossible. It can be helpful, but it is absolutely impossible to be mindful all the time in the turmoil of samsara. We will never find any rest. We will never find any samatha. We will never find any peace of mind. We will never find any satisfaction. We will never find any lasting happiness. There will always be a confrontation with pain and suffering of all kinds. And painful feelings. And this is the nature of samsara because of the impermanence and the constant change. So mindfulness in samsara is always short-lasting, and is just a kind of placebo for the hectic world we are in. Only by our natural state, like just explained, call it, let's say, Mahamudra, with the clarity and the radiant aspect and so on. This is where the absolute mindfulness is by nature present, because all the influences of samsara have no causes in the Mahamudra or in the natural state of the mind or the Buddha nature. That is the difference. The difference is that in the natural state, there are no causes for samsara. The causes of samsara is in essence ignorance. I think you all know that. Ignorance is not understanding, not being aware, not being mindful, not that there is what nature is of samsara and what the nature is of the Buddha inside of us with all its qualities. That not understanding, not seeing, not being interested, distracted from it, from this, and being caught up in samsara, that is the real cause why we are in samsara and why we cannot liberate ourselves, because we do not understand that there are two dimensions in ourselves. So that's why we grasp to relative mindfulness, and that's why we miss the bliss and the liberation and the happiness and the lasting happiness of the ultimate or the all-pervasive mindfulness. And I've explained last week that Mahamudra is all-pervasive because it is the natural state whom we are, and that it's always there because it is the beginning of the creation. It is the purity of the mind. And this is always there. And that's why I mentioned last week that, in fact, we should live in a certain way of a life retreat. Our life is a retreat, or we can, let's say, we can develop our samsaric life with also very good and wonderful situations and experiences and benefits, but it's only changing. But of course, samsara has many beautiful blessings as well. Samsara is not just suffering, but it is not whom we are or how we are. It is how we relatively are. At the same time, there is a state of mind, like just and last week explained, that is always present. So it might, the meaning of our life could be, because I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but but the meaning of our life could be that we discover that there are two dimensions in me or in my mind and in my existence. And retreating means retreat from one world into another world. And this is why we need the relative mindfulness, of course, and we also have to try to understand the all-pervasive mindfulness and the natural state of the mind. So the essence or the meaning of our life is to discover these two dimensions in ourselves and to try to abide in the ultimate dimension, whatever happens in our daily life. And this is where we can understand the all-pervasiveness of the pure dimension, that it is whatever we experience in our life, be it very happy and beautiful and nice and experiences and situations, they will change, but also for the painful and the sad and the fear and the loneliness and whatever we experience in suffering, that these are not really existing, but they're only relatively existing, but that there is an other identity, let's say an enlightened identity in ourselves that is pervasive in every fear and in every happiness. Okay? And then it means that the happiness will increase and that the suffering will decrease. And that is the benefit of learning to retreat and to understand the retreat in the wonderful first dimension, which is the natural state of the mind. And of course, this natural state, as very briefly mentioned, is the natural state. And then in this natural state, all the qualities can arise, which are boundless compassion, boundless love, boundless patience, boundless generosity, boundless effort, boundless concentration, like that. And then the self-centeredness and all the fears and all the worries will slowly disappear because they are permeated by a very powerful dimension. And this powerful dimension is by nature very powerful, but our hindrances are also very powerful. So this is why there is called, why Buddhist, why we are called warriors. We are called warriors for these two dimensions, to understand one dimension and to defeat this dimension, which is samsara. And this, the victory is slowly entering into the all-pervasive mindfulness, and then abiding in it. The natural state is abiding. So it is connecting and it is abiding. It's okay. It's not easy, maybe, to understand, maybe not easy to practice. But when we are mindful of it, then our practice will increase. If you are not mindful, relative or absolute, or mindful at all, then we are caught up in samsara, and then nothing will change. We need the mindfulness, the memory, the remembrance, the alertness, the awareness. Where am I? What am I doing? In what dimension am I? Where can I transform from one dimension to another? Where can I transform myself from being angry to being patient? Where can I transform myself from self-centeredness to benevolence? Where can I transform myself from fearless, from being afraid to courage? And from where can I transform myself from jealousy to raising the other to his or her happiness, supporting him or her in his or her happiness, and so on. These are all transformations, and we need the mindfulness for that. Without mindfulness, we continue as we always do, running around in circles, running around in conditioned behavior, running around without free will, and so on, and being always drowning in these processes of continuing all the time in the same reactions. Without mindfulness, nothing will happen in this sense. So try mindfulness. Okay, so mindfulness is not only based on concentration, like the relative mindfulness, it is based on the vision on Mahamudra and love and compassion and the qualities of the natural state of the mind. So we have to try to understand what is this enlightened being inside of me. and then take refuge in it and remember the qualities and practices. If it changes a jealousy, for instance, being aware of jealousy and being aware to being jealous and being aware of that I do not want this other person to be happy with what he or she has achieved. This is jealousy. In fact, I am humiliating someone else in his or her happiness or in his or her achievements. I'm humiliating someone else. That is what jealousy is. So when I reflect on my jealousy and when I reflect on what it is, what I'm doing, when I reflect on the consequences for myself, being hurt by jealousy and hurting someone else because of you humiliating someone else, then this is the whole concept of where the whole concept of relative mindfulness, all-pervasive mindfulness, the samsaric behavior, and the liberating behavior of the Buddha nature, where it happens. So there are so many situations where we can practice. No need to be a very, very studied, intellectual, book-reading Buddhist or person. This is where it's all about, in fact. So for that, we need insight and meditation. The path to liberation is based on wisdom, on meditation, and on compassion. And practice. Okay, like this for mindfulness. And always I'm just sharing thoughts with you, and then it's your responsibility how you want to live with that, how you want to explore it and realize it for yourself. I'm just explaining very briefly and very superficially. So then there's the connection with the paramis. The parami, the next topic, is very easy. Maybe you remember, for most of you, I think it was last year, that I gave 2 meetings on the paramitas. Don't quite remember, but not all of you were there. But so here the specific question was or is these 6 paramis. I will mention them soon. There is the wisdom parami, and why is the parami of wisdom essential for practicing the other paramis? Or do we have to practice the paramitas first and at the end the wisdom? I think something like that was the question. So parami in Sanskrit or paramita in Pali, if I'm correct, means it is para means it is beyond and to going to the other shore where there are no boundaries. And mita means that which has arrived. So paramita means that which has gone beyond, or that which has arrived on the other shore. And the other shore, of course, is the Mahamudra or the Buddha nature or the liberation or the enlightenment. So paramita is a virtue. In its perfection, it has become the quality of the Buddha, inside of the Buddha. And that's very common in Buddhist literature, in Mahayana, not in Theravada, but in Mahayana, it is a basic view or philosophy, and everywhere in all texts, as far as I know, have read them and understood them from the teachers, that the 6 or 8 qualities of the Buddha inside are the 6 paramitas. The 6 paramitas are the Buddha, And the Buddha has the qualities of the 6 paramitas. What is a Buddha? Buddha is the perfect qualities of these 6. So we cannot call a paramita when I'm developing these qualities, then it is not a paramita. I am trying to develop these qualities. A paramita means that which has arrived and that which has gone beyond and that which has accomplished. So paramita means the ultimate quality. And before that is the path. So what are the qualities of the Buddha? These are the paramitas. And what is a Buddha? Buddha is the accomplishment of the paramitas, the final state. And the bodhisattvas, they have 8 stages, and these 8 stages are all related to wisdom. If you read the Prajna Paramita text, Buddha explains again and again and again the 6 paramitas, and mainly the wisdom paramita. So the bodhisattva is on the path of perfecting the perfections, and the Buddha is the ultimate perfection. Right? So this for the explanation of what is a paramita. And there are in Mahayana Buddhism, I think no doubt most of you will know that there are 6 paramis, but in the Theravada tradition, also in Zen, I'm not quite sure, but in Theravada school of Buddhism are 10. So I will mention 10 because they are all very beautiful. The first is generosity. It is the perfect generosity. It is, for instance, giving of oneself. It is giving of dharma. It is giving of protection, and it is material giving. So mainly generosity is the giving of oneself to others by dharma, by protection, and material giving. Of course, there's many things to explain about this generosity, but the Buddha quality of paramita is giving without any attachment to I, me, or oneself, because in the Buddha state there is no ego or I. It is empty of I. There's just suchness, whatever that is. And then the second paramita is virtue. And virtue means, we will also come to that next week. The virtue means, in the sense, Mahayana, in the sense of morality, proper conduct. So these are 3 meanings of virtue. Just virtue itself, doing good. It is morality. Morality means not hurting, not damaging myself or others through body, speech, or mind. Through body, actions of body, of speech, and mental formations. That's morality, not damaging. And this is also a synonym for proper conduct. And the third is renunciation. This is the Theravada, added in the Theravada, renunciation. The fourth is wisdom. In the Mahayana, it is the number 6, but here it's not so important. Wisdom meaning discernment between ultimate reality and relative reality, between samsara and nirvana, and so on. Then 5th is energy, or diligence, or vigor, or effort. 6 is patience, or tolerance. It's very interesting. Tolerance. Tolerance is also an aspect of the synonym for patience. Forbearance, acceptance, and endurance. You'll get them in the summary. So patience, tolerance, forbearance, acceptance, and endurance. The seventh is truthfulness or honesty. 8 is determination, resolution, or effort. So determination, being decisive of how to practice the paramis, for instance, or being determined about practicing the virtues, being determined for practicing meditation, being determined for practicing virtue, and so on. So determination and resolution. It is a very strong, steadfast will to accomplish the 6 or the 10 paramis, or whatever aims I have determined myself for. So it is the energy to accomplish again and again what I want to accomplish. This is the determination and resolution. And ninth is goodwill, or friendliness, or loving kindness, and metta. So metta, goodwill, friendliness, loving kindness. And the 10th is equanimity and serenity. Equanimity and serenity. And so all these 10 are qualities, ultimate qualities of the Buddha nature. So we have the clarity of the mind, we have the radiance of the mind, which is wisdom and emptiness together, which is Mahamudra or Sunyata. So this is the basic state of the enlightened being inside of us. And from this enlightened state, or this pure state, the qualities can be all pervasive. So there is a basic state and there are qualities. And the pure qualities are the paramis. And they arise from the pure state of mind, the Buddha nature. So it is the pure state of mind and the pure qualities that arise from them. And the pure state is in itself present. It is the basic nature. And the qualities, they have to be developed. A quality can be in essence present, but it has to be developed. It has to be practiced in daily life. It has to be practiced in all kinds of situations. It has to be admitted in all kinds of situations. So the practice of the Buddha, so to put it simply, the practice of the Buddha, the practice of the Bodhisattvas, the practice of the being that wants to go to the other shore, from samsara to nirvana, these beings, all these beings have to practice the virtue. Without practicing virtue, we cannot accomplish anything. The virtue, like these 10, they encompass all virtues, all good and positive activities and mental states. Only the virtue in this sequence of 10, they can be the path to enlightenment. And that is to happiness in daily life. Like the example of jealousy, then simply when I feel jealous, and then I can remember, oh, Sungrab, he talked about 10 virtues. Which virtue shall I use here in this state of mind or in jealousy? Shall I practice generosity, or shall I practice morality, or shall I practice renunciation, or shall I practice wisdom, or shall I be diligent for it, or maybe I should practice tolerance towards myself and to others. Maybe I can practice honesty, or maybe I should be determined and resolute to practice it. I also can practice goodwill or friendliness, and I can practice equanimity, not being disturbed. So in this simple example of jealousy, we can practice all 10 virtues. Only you can choose, dependent on your karma, or dependent on what you find difficult or more easy. So that is why the Buddha qualities are all pervasive. They are in jealousy, they are in fear, they are in loneliness, they are in anger, they are in disappointment, they are in low self-esteem. Well, you name it, it is all the suffering of samsara. The antidote is the goodness of the paramis. Because only goodness can save us. In what of these 10, only goodness can save us. Non-goodness, evil, cannot save us, but evil destroys us, makes us unhappy, lonely, and so on. So there's only one way to Mahamudra, to lasting happiness. There's only one way to make our life and our daily life happy and meaningful, and that is the battle against the evil and the victory of the goodness. Something like that. Is that okay? This is the battle of our life, but it is the warrior for the good, and it is the warrior against the evil. Eh? I don't know. Forbearance. So now then the question was, so this is a brief explanation on the 10 paramis, the qualities of the Buddha and the path of the Bodhisattvas, and being save ourselves from suffering and worrying, fighting for the goodness, and destroying the causes of suffering. So this is the meaning of these 10. And as explained you the example for jealousy, we now know that all these paramis are interconnected. We cannot practice one parami without another. We can choose which one is our favorite, or which one I need to develop, or which one I feel strong enough to practice. But they are all interconnected. And now the question is, why, that was the question, why is wisdom the basis of these 10 paramis, or the 6, or what? And this is the Mahayana philosophy. In Mahayana philosophy, based on the sutras, Mahayana sutras of Buddha, is wisdom is the basis of the paramis. The whole Prajna Paramita text, when you read it, then Buddha again and again, hundreds of pages, again, Buddha remembers the Bodhisattvas on the wisdom. And why is that? Because we cannot practice let's say, maybe more practical, if we practice generosity, let's say I like to give a present for someone's birthday, or our neighbor they become their firstborn child. They're very happy. And let's say I buy a present for this colleague or this family member or my partner or for the neighbor, and I do my best, and I say, yes, I like to give, they are happy, and I want to share their happiness. And so I buy them a present and I bring it. And then it turns out that there are many others who gave the same present, or this neighbor, this lady is not this new mother. She's not so happy. Maybe the wrong color for the baby. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, the lady is the receiver is not very grateful or shows no gratitude to me. And then I'm maybe a little bit disappointed or irritated, or I blame her or whatever. So this is not the pure generosity. This is an example of generosity with attachment. It is generosity with expectations. It is generosity based on the ego, as an example. So this is true for all the other paramis. We practice the virtue with certain conditions. I want something. I expect something back. It must not be too expensive. It must. My generosity must not take too much time. I will help my neighbor, but not for weeks and weeks after each other. So these are practical examples of the ego that has conditions. And it is based on attachment and aversion. Maybe that's the very brief summary, that without wisdom, the virtue is mainly based on aversion and attachment, expectations, and so on. Aversions arise by disappointment, and attachment is what I want to receive in return. So this is what happened. These are the virtues. We try our best, but they are not the path to paramitas, because there is no wisdom involved. In the generosity of all these virtues are free from attachment. They are free from aversion. They are free from ignorance. They are free from discrimination. They are free from expectation for something in return, for example. Because the wisdom tells us there is only arising, abiding, and disappearing. So, in fact, there is no act of generosity. It is arising, being there, and disappearing. So all virtues are, in essence, arising, being there, and disappearing. So there is no ground for attachment, and there is no ground for aversion, because it is the emptiness of generosity, for instance. It is the emptiness of kindness. It is the emptiness of patience. It is the emptiness of honesty. It is the emptiness of friendliness. And that doesn't mean that we are of ill will. It means that we are motivated by a sincere virtue based on renunciation and based on the sincere wish may the other person be happy. And then my happiness also arises. So the practicing the paramis with wisdom is based on egolessness, is based on selflessness, is based on the knowledge of emptiness, dependent origination, and so on, and is based on the happiness of someone else. The true parami is, or the practice or development of parami is the practice of selflessness, non-attachment, and non-aversion, and non-duality. This is the true meaning of practicing the paramis on wisdom. So the wisdom is the mother of the paramis. It helps us to practice pure virtue. What you need, and if I can give it to you, I will give it to you. If it makes you happy, I will give it to you. What it can be kindness, it can be friendliness, it can be money. And if for this situation, for you, it is better that I am patient, then I will practice patience, because it will be of benefit to you. This is an example of the egolessness of the wisdom of the Buddha, and therefore it becomes a pure virtue. Of course, in development, in practice, in transformation. But that's why the wisdom is so important. Because without that, without the wisdom, it becomes ordinary samsaric virtue and morality and generosity and patience and truth, honesty and determination and friendliness. It becomes ordinary samsaric virtue. And of course, this is okay because it is better than negativity. But it is very vulnerable virtue because it is dependent on many factors. If I am happy with practicing these virtues, they are vulnerable because it might be something might happen, and then I'm disappointed or I get angry again or impatient. So it is good to try. It's always better to practice virtue all the times, because we have seen that before. Every virtue, whatever it is better than something negative, something disturbing. The way to happiness, the way to a meaningful life is goodness in many ways. But the power is, when it is based on wisdom, then it is very powerful because it connects us to the Buddha nature. And in the Buddha nature, we are harmless. We are protected. There is nothing to defend in the Buddha nature. There is nothing to attain. In the Buddha nature, there is nothing to achieve. In the Buddha nature, there is nothing to expect. In the Buddha nature, there is no result. In the Buddha nature, there is no attachment. In the Buddha nature, there is no aversion, and so on, and so on. So that's where the purity arises. And we are able to connect to this, to practice this goodness. Then we are able, in connection to the wisdom. The wisdom is an essence of the Buddha nature. Maybe very long answer, I hope, for the wisdom as the basis for the paramis. So the very nice thing of practicing the paramis is to learn them by heart. There are 6 or 10. And then if you are in conflict with yourself or with someone else, then be mindful of it, the relative or all-pervasive mindful. Be mindful that it is arising, something disturbing, or some conflict. And then communicate to yourself with which parami will I practice here in this situation, towards myself and towards others. This is a very wonderful practice. Many examples in daily life, and very profound in essence, and very good result. Because every small step we do is a giant step to Buddhahood. Not on the moon, but to the Buddhahood. Okay, something like that. Something like that. So that's the retreat way of living. Okay, now we have some time for or other questions or a short meditation. I will send you a summary like this, a preparation, so you can also ask questions through email. But so then let's finish with meditation. every every meditation, in essence, in every meditation, these paramis are practiced. In Mahayana, all meditations are, all the paramis will be practiced in every meditation. That's wonderful. Especially the sadhana meditation. So for now, let's see. Maybe the Tonglen meditation is a wonderful meditation to practice these paramis. So let's try the Tonglen meditation. I think most of you know Tonglen meditation, which means receiving and sending, something like that. And it is receiving what that is Tonglen for yourself, because we have to be very kind and wise and loving to ourselves. And then it is a small step to being kind and loving towards others, because we know the value. So in this Tonglen meditation, maybe there is some difficulty in your life at this moment, or maybe something unpleasant happened today, or maybe there's a worry inside, or a fear, or whatever. But maybe there's a worry inside of you, not too big, not too dramatic, because we have 5 or 10 minutes. So please be aware of that. What is a certain painful inside of me? So this is what you breathe in with a blue light, dark blue light. You breathe in as the painful thing, and it enters into with the nose and the lungs. It enters into your heart, and in your heart is the Mahamudra, is the Buddha nature, with the quality of patience or wisdom or equanimity or whatever you need. So in your heart is the radiant light of the Buddha nature. And there the black light and the pain dissolves. Sorry, it is the other way around. And it is breathing out the painful, the dark worry, and you're breathing in with clear light, something that you need in this situation. So you're breathing from the Buddha nature, something good, something positive, something what you need. It enters into your heart. In your heart is the Mahamudra, and it transforms and enhances, and it affects your feelings or your mental state into something. It enhances and fills your whole body and heart and mind. So there it transforms and it affects and it works. And you breathe out with some dark light what you want to get rid of. So shall we practice so in loving kindness for yourself a few minutes? So, thank you. Just to connect these two topics of mindfulness and the paramis, the aim of all pervasive mindfulness is to connect us and to abide in the Buddha nature, in the Mahamudra. And the aim of all pervasive mindfulness is to connect us to the limitless goodness. Two directions, to the Buddha nature and to the goodness. And these two are interrelated. Okay. Well, wish you all the best. See you later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, Sungrab. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
How to stop recording. Oh, yeah.